Well, host Sean Lennon with a Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. And of course, I am talking to Perch, Dan Perch, referee extraordinaire. If you haven't seen him lately, he's been doing his thing. Not only does he cover freelance, AAW, he's the senior referee, but he's also going to be at Black Label Pro, I believe, this Sunday. And,
yes, sir.
Yes, this Black Label Pro, and I'll see you there. You've done Game Changer Wrestling. You've been doing a lot. So, you've had a lot, and you also were at the Multiverse of Matches from Impact Wrestling as well. So we got to see you just having those tremendous opportunities, and so I appreciate you again being on the show.
Oh, thank you, Sean, so much. Absolute blast being here on the Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. Was an absolute blast last time, and I couldn't wait to be on again. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. So, tell us, first question is, how much emails do you have? Like, because are you very much in demand now and you have to pick and choose, or, how is that going for you? If you could give us a little bit of insight.
Yeah, the office of the ref brand is is always busy, and it's always fun. Crafting messages, sending out messages, always keeping the resume up to date, pictures, lots of photos, lots of I've always kept an ongoing resume. So whether it's being sent out and sent back, it's always always going around. So a lot of messages, and the calendar fills up before you know it, which is very fun to see and to plan out as well.
Yes, for sure. I'm sure you have to plan out, like, the shows aren't too far apart, and you were in Columbus and Detroit, I believe, this past weekend.
Yeah,
so no Chicago shows. Was that weird?
No, we kicked it off on the ride home. Well, we had Columbus, Ohio on Friday, Detroit, Michigan on Saturday, both for Game Changer Wrestling. And on the ride home, I made sure to hit up Galli Lucha in Chicago on Sunday to round it out. Yeah, I was missing Lucha action and being back in Chicago, so made sure to hit it up to round out a nice 3-show weekend.
For sure. And are you going to be part of Envision, Ragin Pro Wrestling? They're doing a big show May 7th. The Ragin Pro Wrestling, that's in Wisconsin. I don't know if you're going to be part of that or not.
Okay, yep, I'll have to look back at the schedule and touch base on that one.
It looks like a really good card. I mean, last time they had like a Santana Garrett. They had a lot of great female talent that was there.
Oh, that's great, and especially Wisconsin pro wrestling, always close to home, and will always be.
Now, talk about something that might be important for people who are starting off as a referee or a wrestler or a ring announcer, is going to a show and you don't have a role. You're just there to help out with what's needed, and the importance of the etiquette of showing your face, and and is that an important thing that someone should do to start off? What's your advice?
Yeah, anyone who wants to be interested in professional wrestling, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to offer any kind of advice or insight into what steps I took towards doing it. It all started with the thought of, well, the professional wrestling world is wonderful, and I would love to learn how I can help it some way. So through that understanding, there's a lot of doors that you have to open and walk through yourself in order to find out, where you may fit in best or what you may want to learn best. So, yeah, I would encourage anyone to feel free to reach out, shoot a message, ask a question. The professional wrestling world, survives with a lot of people, but it takes everyone working so hard at what they love to make it work. So best advice would be reach out to someone at a show, talk to someone at a show, someone you look up to, and ask them a question. It's a great spot to start.
Yes. And, we just saw like New Japan was in town. Chicago wrestling is booming. Did you get a chance to be there for that?
Yeah, I got to take that day in, and that was amazing. Like you said, Chicago wrestling is booming. Midwest wrestling is booming. As a whole, the industry is amazing to be involved with. To see that action take place at the Odeum, that's a very close to the heart venue, especially when Ring of Honor ran there.
Hmm.
Having Beer City Bruiser as my wrestling dad, we got to help out a lot of times with Ring of Honor at the Odeum. So to be able to take in that night of pro wrestling just the other week with New
Hmm.
Japan, holy smokes, dude, that was incredible. The atmosphere, the energy, uh, it was an incredible night at the Odeum.
Yeah, definitely, and I feel like that's what I feel like Chicago is bringing. You know, it's just great wrestling, great events. You know, whether it be AEW, WWE's in town, and just and all the independent shows. I feel like everything is geared towards the Chicago fans lately. Don't you feel that way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. Chicago's always been such a rabid fan base for pro wrestling. Whether you see it on TV, WrestleManias in the past, or anytime uh, Chicago's on TV for a live crowd, it's a fun atmosphere and one that you want to tune into. So to get the ground level, the true feeling of the city, you have to go to the independent wrestling shows, and
Hmm.
there's no better experience than a Chicago independent professional wrestling show when you want to feel the city. I mean, it's
Yes.
unbelievable. Wisconsin is incredible for their own atmosphere and shows, and to experience a Wisconsin show in Chicago is, you know, uh, it's only a city, but it has such an incredible atmosphere all of its own too. Um, like a freelance late at night, people there watching good shows, or
Hmm.
AAW on a Friday night, people there just watching pro wrestling and forgetting about their worries, forgetting about their cares. Or you go to any show at the Berwyn Eagles Club, dude. Just the passion that it brings out of people. Or
Yes.
a lucha show on a Sunday. You get to celebrate after church on a Sunday. Uh, hit some noisemakers and watch some high flying lucha action. Um, I've gotten a great taste of the city of Chicago over the past couple years. It's been incredible to see it through the eyes of the pro wrestling business.
Yeah, I can only imagine, and also, I'm sure you have a lot of stories, some you can tell, some you can't, that you shared and a bonding experience with other professional wrestlers, So when we go back to the WrestleMania weekend, how is that different than the normal Chicago wrestling schedule or Wisconsin wrestling schedule? Like how crazy was that schedule is what I'm saying, because I know you had show after show after show. You got to go this venue to that venue in the same day, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. A lot of it is just busy nonstop for several days. Um, the Second City Summit took place not too long ago in
Mhm.
Chicago, and that was a nice little taste of what it's like to be there for a WrestleMania weekend. Um, that Second City Summit taking place with the big cage match, the War Games match,
Mhm.
and everything, and that was amazing. And
Mhm.
that spread out over maybe 3 or 4 days is what the atmosphere of WrestleMania is like. Just nonstop, 4 shows every day. Um, in this case, I ended up going to the WrestleCon as well, right in the middle of it. So luckily, everything is pretty close in proximity. But yeah, you show up with a lot of referee gear in my case, and
Mhm.
some nice clothes, and and just go to town from show to show, getting different flavors, really different styles
Yeah.
of pro wrestling. The collective alone, out of the 12 shows going, I guess 11 with spring break being part one and two,
Mhm.
um, my notebook is filled up with so many different notes of different styles of matches, things that I
Mhm.
haven't seen before. Say a Mission Pro Wrestling with all women, and the fire of a Thunder Rosa leading an entire promotion. Holy
Mhm.
smokes, dude! That's something you have to experience. Um, you have a for the culture being led with some of the best referees alone that I've worked with,
Hmm.
let alone the talent in the wrestlers. Um, I got to work Planet Death this year. So you get like Nick Gage bringing in the GCW crowd at a collective weekend and
Hmm.
introducing a show like Planet Death and getting to work with Akira and Cole Radrick on that show. That's like different atmosphere, unlike
Hmm.
anything else.
Yes. Yeah, I know you've shared the ring with so many great wrestlers, from Mil Muertes to Minoru Suzuki. So
Yeah, and able to learn a lot from each one of them. In particular, the passion for pro wrestling is the same, whether it's a student like myself or
mhm,
a legendary veteran like any one of those gentlemen.
for sure. And like, who do you look up to as a referee? Like, is there anybody out there that you look up to?
Yeah, there's a lot of referees I get to work with on a week to week basis,
Hmm.
and one gentleman in particular who was very cool from the start in Chicago, in particular, was Ref Sam Medwood. Just a really cool dude. Welcomed me in, whether it was freelance or AAW, and kind of showed me the ropes. Him and Nate as well, Speckman. Nate moved out
Yeah.
to Maine, and Sam moved up to Wisconsin. And the coincidence is Sam has been dabbling back in a little bit of reffing,
Okay.
which is absolutely awesome. Um, Someone who I look up to, and he was gone for a little bit, and now he's back in some capacity. I've seen him at one show, and I think pictures in another. He's someone I can't wait to share another locker room with, because I really look up to him. Let alone, I mean, the amount of referees that I worked with over the past little while: GCW referees, Warrior referees, Black Label Pro, Impact referees. Holy smokes, dude!
Hmm.
But I make sure to take every moment I can to pick their brains individually. Going back to that WrestleMania weekend, I was able to meet a lot of refs that I have watched through the phone and through clips,
Hmm.
and able to walk up to them and introduce myself and vice versa. Just incredible, dude. That's another part of that WrestleMania weekend is seeing all these different people that you look up to and you kind of get inspiration from, and then
Hmm.
you get to meet that person, and then
Yes.
you know that they, maybe have heard of you too, and then a couple hours later you meet another person like that, and then another and another. So it's like being surrounded by that much passion for the sport and the industry that we all love, to be converged, whether it's a show on any given town or city or a WrestleMania weekend on an
Yes.
entire, you know, worldwide. It's just incredible to be a part of pro wrestling and to share it with everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I know that, it can be challenging to be a referee. We have, crowds that are reacting one way or the other. It can get distracting. And I would have to say the ones that seem most difficult for me is when I see like a 6-man, an 8-man tag. There's a lot of moving parts. I know even wrestlers themselves said that those matches are harder to work, harder to perform in. So I can only imagine for you being a referee, one referee with, a 6 or 8 different athletes in there, hard to keep track of.
Yeah, uh, it's picture a big box of straws, and then you pick your straw, and that's what match you have for that night. It can be anything, literally
Yeah.
anything. And in that one particular multi-man, I can go back to watching at that WrestleCon in Dallas. New Japan performed right before Impact, so I got to watch and study New Japan and ref Jeremy Marcus and how he was applying himself in I believe it was an 8-man tag match. It may have been a 6-man, but an 8-man, and taking notes and studying. Just the control and the ability to handle oneself, and essentially work. I mean, we're all punching the clock, punch in and punch out. How does everybody here work? So, it helps. I take the approach of studying for those moments and those occasions, because again, you're going to pick that straw eventually. So if you can see it or gain knowledge from the highest level, that's what I'm looking to seek and take notes on. So yeah, those matches, or any kind of a match, can be daunting or tough, but courage isn't the absence of fear. It's saddling up face and going after it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why the professional wrestling, it's so many people enjoy it, but it's not for everyone to have a job in the performance realm. You know what I'm saying? What I'm talking about, like if referee or ring announcing or wrestling.
Yeah, and there's so much to the show that goes on, whether it's the people taking tickets at the front door, people selling merchandise, the ring announcer telling people the show is about to start in 20 minutes.
Right.
There's a million jobs that have to be done, and photographers as well. That's why I first started with the mindset, I want to learn everything in this business. And if I weren't refereeing, and Lord knows, any opportunity can be gone just like that.
Yeah.
Would try my hand at just about everything else in pro wrestling, and there's something for anyone who gives themselves to the business like this. But it's incredible to be a part of again.
Yes, for sure. We've lost some wrestlers this year, so that's been really tough, man. Right? Any personal experiences with some of the wrestlers who passed away?
Yeah, just day to day. There's always a news and pro wrestlers that come and go, and it's sad when you hear that passing. I'm a daily open listener on XM radio, and you can tell every day when it starts with that 10 bell salute, you get someone that they're going to be honoring and celebrating that day.
Yes.
So whenever an untimely passing, or even a legend who was known for a while, or like a Scott Hall, where it kind of comes out of the blue,
Right.
the Busted Open in particular, first thing in the morning, and it usually brings up a bunch of stories and a bunch of other people telling stories, and it helps me as well as inspires me to find something coming out of it. Seeing Scott Hall come out to the Fugees in that ECW clip, whether it was on the phone, on some social media, that's a go-to pregame song for me now when I'm listening to my headphones. So the influence from pro wrestlers when they pass, or if they're still here, can still be just as impactful.
Yes. I mean, I know it was back in the fall, or it was like the fall or winter time. We lost a dear friend of the freelance wrestling, and also AAW, Marcus Crane. And there was a match for his honor in Game Changer Wrestling in January, and that definitely hit a lot of people hard.
Yeah, that was devastating, and you can feel the ripple effects and the impact that when someone truly gives themselves to this business. There's no shortcuts being cut by a guy like Marcus Crane.
Right.
He gave himself to this business for the fans and for the enjoyment, and everybody was able to take something out of it who knew him. Going back to the Second City Summit, he was there just enjoying it, almost like as an ambassador. I was in the back watching some more games and eating blizzards with him.
Wow.
Good old Derek. The impact and the passion that we all have again for this sport and this profession is so powerful that after we're gone, it's still being felt. and there's
Definitely.
something to that.
Hmm. And then one thing I noticed in a locker room is everybody like shakes hands. And so can you talk a little bit about that tradition of shaking hands? And if someone doesn't do that, would that rub someone the wrong way?
Yeah, it goes back to like you said, just a respect thing.
Hmm.
As if I'm going to work on any given day, you're going to be working side by side with everybody here. And if you're not, well, you're going to eventually. So if you need to ask anyone a question, or if they need to ask you a question, um, you already know them by introducing yourself, first and foremost. So it allows no awkwardness throughout the day when something that has to happen. Again, we're all working for a power greater than us, called pro wrestling. So it means a lot when you introduce yourself to everybody, because we're all working together essentially for this greater power of pro wrestling. So it's a respect to the business as well as among the people you're working with. So we all are acquaintances on the scene for the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I've witnessed it myself. I was backstage doing a podcast and got to see that happen. And so, I definitely understand it now. Having you explain it, having others explain it to me, why it's important. And do you feel like also professional wrestling, not only does it really like encompass, the athleticism, it encompasses the violence, but also encompasses, a lot of drama, like theatrical. Like you have to be, even as a referee, you have to kind of have those facials, right? You got to be looking at the, not necessarily look at the audience, but looking at, showing some kind of reaction, even as a wrestler. Is that of a referee? Is that important, or is that something that just comes naturally over time?
It's the entire wrestling show, the matches. Uh, it has to be fire. It has to be on. It has to be a spectacle. When you walk in the door as a fan, uh, the next 3 hours are here to make you forget about everything. We celebrate the Jim Lynam tournament,
Hmm.
and hearing the stories about Jim, I had never met him, but he let everybody know before the show that when you're here at an AAW show, you're here to forget about everything outside, leave your
Hmm.
cares away, leave your troubles at home, and forget about the outside world and just have fun.
Hmm.
And going back to, is it important that I do what I do? You're damn right. It's important that I make sure I put everything I can into every job and every performance that I give,
Hmm.
and continue to work hard, to study, to get better. Um, because nothing's perfect, no matter who it is, on any given job, any given night. Photographers, referees, cameramen, wrestlers. Never is it a perfect night for anyone, let alone
Hmm.
everyone. So yeah, it's important to always remain diligent, on point, studying, constantly working hard to get better.
Definitely. We have a new promotion that's coming, well, resurrecting in Chicago, the IWA MidSouth. And, knowing their history as a historian of pro wrestling, is that a promotion that, you think you'll be working for?
Yeah, only time will tell, I guess,
Hmm.
as it comes. Definitely a company that has been around over the past, many years. Anyone you talk to now who's a veteran in the business has either been to IWA MidSouth or knows someone who's been to IWA MidSouth. So, I'll take it as it comes, and yeah, I would definitely be intrigued as it comes to be.
For sure. Yeah, that'd be exciting. Obviously, there's more wrestling in Chicago. We're not complaining as fans. More options is a good thing.
Oh, and that's what it's all about, the fans.
For sure. And talk about, for you personally, the connection you have with the fans. Because, you know, fans, they'll come out and you'll come out and they'll, you know, start a chant of your name or, you know, yell out your name. Yeah, talk about that, being recognized.
Yeah, you know, going back to what you had asked just before, you know, and the importance of what we do, it's solely because of the fans. That's it. You know, it's for the little kid in the back who's, you know, begging his parents to go to the wrestling show, and his parents take him. It's for the dad who's working overtime just to put in work to take his family to the show. It's for the you know, guy taking his friends who haven't seen wrestling. It's for the girl who's like, dude, I love wrestling, but I'm kind of embarrassed, but I want to go. It's like, I love giving everything I can and learning and getting better, so I can give that performance to give the fans a good time. That's what it's all about. You know, everyone works hard and has an entire day leading up to a wrestling show. So it's my job and my, you know, I take it upon myself to give everything I can to the fans. And at the end of the show, what I like to do is take a lap around the arena, whether it's, you know, walk out the back door and walk in through the front door, listening to conversations fans are having about the show coming out of it, whether they're talking about how wicked of a main event that was, or, you know, how disappointed they were in one thing, how, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I love hearing those conversations. Oh my God. That's probably my favorite thing about this business at the end of the day is you know, there's stories that happen inside the ring, and writers can write stories about it. The photographers can take pictures, you know, magazines can write it. There's hundreds of stories that take place in the ring, but there's thousands of stories that happen in that crowd. There's hundreds of thousands of stories that happen in that crowd with people individually. That's the fun part and the true essence of a fun night of pro wrestling. So I love the fans just as much as they love pro wrestling. So I try to give them my all and honor the sport to the best of my ability.
Definitely. Well, Perch, I appreciate you again being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. I will be at AAW tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll see you
AAW
there.
for a steel cage.
I know. No way I'm missing
so excited. My eyes were like.
Yes, and you're gonna be hopefully officiating that match, and that's gonna be one heck of a match to officiate.
Yeah, we'll take it as it comes. Like I said, my eyes were wide open last time looking at that cage with Mance Warner and Fred Yehai. I can only imagine it would be like this time. If I've got it, I'll be prepared. Otherwise, we'll be prepared if someone else in that cage goes down and they need someone else.
Yes.
Because I certainly went down last time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's gonna be crazy. Yeah, great night it's gonna be a great night of wrestling, and you know, excited.
Thank you for having me on.
Well, anytime. My pleasure. You know, and for the Ref brand, Dan Perch, if you want to just tell us your social media.
Yeah, guys, you can find me at Perch XLV, # for the Ref brand, and Waffles celebrate pro wrestling.
Awesome. Yeah, Perch, it was a pleasure to have you on. Again, you've been so busy. It's exciting. I'm excited for you to see everything that's coming your way, man. You know, I like when I see you on, when I'm watching, you know, the Multiverse of Madness or GCW, I'm like, oh, that's Perch. You know what I mean? You know, you can't help it. I'd be happy for you.
Oh man, tons of inspiration and motivation from those kinds of sentiments right there. Thank you, Sean. That really means a lot. It helps fuel the passion for what we do, and thank you. That means a lot.
Definitely. Well, I'll see you tomorrow night then. But everybody, take care and follow Perch. Say hello to Perch. You know, shout him out if you see him at a show in Chicago or Wisconsin.
Much love,
Sure.
guys.
All right. Take care.